that next thing that you have to put out for your business, whether it's a new ad, whether it's a new brochure, whether it's new content, whether it's a new session, no matter what you're doing, you have to look at it from that standpoint. And it's never, ever too late. With Jeff, our owner here at Talk Network Radio, we were talking about football and how many football teams win in the fourth quarter that never had a lead.
Well, look at a couple weeks ago with the Gators.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that was a Hail Mary at the last couple of seconds. But you know what? Do you determine your success on those Hail Marys, or are you always prepared and ready to adapt, like we spoke on last week on our radio show about preparation is great, but being able to adapt when those bumps do come up or those surprises come up.
Okay, you've got to, but we're talking about sports. You got to have your game plan.
Yeah, I love that.
You got to,
and you're a football player, so you know how to do this, right? And you have to have everything I'm saying is relative to business at the same time. You've got to have your business game plan. You've got to know where you're going in the long run, but you have to know what you're going to do this month, this next week, and what you're going to do right now. So I'm hearing you have to be proactive to win.
Well, it's, as you like to say, it's a journey.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Once you start the journey, there's no backing up. There's quitting, but there's no backing up. But, nobody ever fails until they quit. So keep going, keep struggling. Those of us that have had some issues, and a lot of us have had some weather-related issues, hey, just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. Put one foot in front of the other, one word in front of the other, and just keep it going and keep it moving in what's there. And eventually, everything will come around.
So take action.
Your time will come.
Right. So I'm hearing is taking those action steps will help you achieve your Super Bowl.
Yeah, because
and win it.
Your mind can consciously only focus on doing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's doing a whole lot of things in the back, but you can only actually do one thing, and that's what you need to do. What is the one thing that you need to do? That one thing that's going to take you to that next step, that's going to reinvigorate that passion you have within you, that's going to drive you to your success. It's all psychological. You look at the sports, football, baseball, tennis, it really doesn't matter. The physical difference between all those players, 1%, 2%, 3% maybe, not significant differences, but what is different? What is different is their view of their goals. What's their self-worth?
Well, and that kind of leads to where I had a great coach that told me this, is do not think about and focus on your competitors. You have to just focus on yourself and in your business. And when you start focusing on your competitors is where you kind of start getting behind, because then you're more worried about them than you are on focusing on the action steps you need to take, because you just need to get some more momentum. That's what we're all looking for. And those action steps will help you achieve that momentum.
Very well said. Yeah. It's once you get that spark, I remember when I was playing football, you're on the sidelines. I don't care where it was, you're nervous. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But once you stepped on the field, something happened.
It's that energy.
And it's the same thing in business. You may be really nervous about giving a presentation, whether it's a speech, whether it's presenting a proposal, whether it's working within a corporation that you are employed by. All of that is just doing it. You're getting it done. But to get it done, you got to prepare.
Precisely. And I tell you what, with the fourth quarter, right there in front of us, smack dab, starting on next Monday of the first week of the fourth quarter. We really need to come out of that gate running. And
absolutely,
you can't wait till Monday morning. You need to start setting that up now. It should have already been set up. But for those of us that have been delayed, don't think that, like as you said, start right now. You know,
I don't care how far you're ahead in your budget or how far behind you're in your budget. You can always do more.
Okay.
If you're behind, you can catch up. If you're ahead, how much more can you do? Because you're setting that intention for 18. Yes, 2018 is basically here in front of us as we look today. You know, you got to jump on it. You got to go. You know, you got to understand where you're strong.
Well, I was going to ask you that. What are some tips that you can provide to our audience today, Richard? I know when you're coaching with clients on these specific topics, what are some of the ideas that you provide to them to show them how to analyze or do an assessment of, you know, what is happening and how they can maybe change direction? You know, because right now, as you know, I've heard you say this so many times, you know, this is the last opportunity of the year to make a mid-course correction, to make sure you reach your ultimate goal for this year. I've heard you say that when I've heard you coaching on the phone and things to some of our clients. You know, this is where you have to, you know, really make those corrections. So is there a tool that you work with them on that help them to see what it is that they need, how they can make those corrections, or how they can see what they've done this past few months or this past year?
One of the things I like to use, and it's great for seeing where you're at. It's also great for looking forward, and it's called a SWOT analysis.
A SWOT.
SWOT. You know, what it is strengths and weaknesses plotted against opportunities and threats.
Interesting. Okay.
So I just draw a box, and I put a plus sign in the middle of the box. So I've got 4 quadrants that I'm dealing with out here. You know, SWOT analysis has been around for more decades than I know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in that we're going back to the 40s and 50s and 60s for the SWOT analysis that's been used.
So those that may not be familiar with the SWOT analysis, it's an acronym. S is strengths, W is weaknesses, O is opportunities, and T is threats. And that is what a SWOT is. What is there? Can you give a good definition of what it does? I mean, what it's really meant to do?
Well, it's designed to let you see where you're at today. Mm-hmm. Okay, see what your strengths are, where you're looking at, and then where are you weak? Where do you need that improvement to happen
so that you can get to where you wish to be? Then,
well, yeah, ultimately, yeah,
I love it.
On that, then you have to marry that with the other side. That's the S and the W. Then you have the O and the T, which is opportunities and threats. Mm-hmm. So with every opportunity, there is an equal and opposite reaction, which is the threat.
Yep.
That we're looking at here. Just like your strengths and weaknesses, equal and opposite is the other side of the equation. So you have to understand this, and you can look at yourself, you can look at your business, or you can look at an individual within your business. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? How can they best perform in your business and what they're doing? Mm-hmm. So this is critically important when we look at what's happening.
So I understand why a SWOT analysis is very helpful at this time of the year when you're looking, kind of coming out of the summer and the fall and now getting into the final quarter, is that it helps you really get more specific and narrow down your objective. And then by building out your SWOT analysis, it helps you draw conclusions on what you need to then do to make those corrections. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. But when you're looking at it, the fourth quarter gets really, really crowded. First of all,
it does.
In business, we have planning starts for 2018, the next year. Okay. But we're in the middle of the fourth quarter, so we have to plan for the fourth quarter because we definitely want to close out the fourth quarter strong to build, in a sports term, build some momentum going into 18 and putting that together. But then at the same time, you also have to look at what's your competition doing.
I don't want to think about my competition, as I said.
Well,
sometimes that's right.
I need to be really careful with that.
Okay.
Be aware of what your competition is doing.
Being aware.
Don't sit there and think you're studying your competition, because that takes too much time.
Awareness is very important. I understand that. And I do when I say that I don't worry about my competition, but I'm always aware of what others in my industry are doing so that I know what's trending, what's working, what's not working. So yeah, definitely. We do need to be aware.
And that's right there, about 75-80% of the whole process that you have to realize what's happening. So, when you draw this box out and it's got 4 quadrants in it, list your strengths. Not a strength, list your strengths. And I normally, when I'm coaching, I ask people to put 3 in each block. So what are your 3 best strengths that you have?
That's what you need to list down.
On that. And yes, you may work for a large corporation, but what are your strengths? What are you giving the best to that corporation? So you have to pull yourself out of your box in that case. Mm-hmm. And even if you're a solopreneur, you have to pull yourself away from you, and you have to look at, how am I serving my clients? Why are they looking at me? Why are they considering me? Why are they hiring me? Those are the things that you have to consider and build your internal strength, your internal awareness of what's happening there. Then flipping that to the other side, strength, the flip side of strength is
your weaknesses.
Weaknesses.
And I like how it states weaknesses and not failures, because I think of success and failure, but so the strengths and weaknesses, the weaknesses aren't things that you failed at, they're just things that may be holding you back.
Nobody ever fails at anything until they quit.
Very well said, Richard, and it's so true.
So very few people are failures unless you quit. We're talking about weaknesses. Weaknesses is, what can you improve on? What can you do a little bit better or a lot better? Mm-hmm. What is the next step of professional development that you need to take in that side of the equation to look at that weakness and then turn it back around and say, okay, I'm going to turn this weakness into an opportunity, which is the first rung on the bottom side of the quadrant. So we have opportunities and threats at the bottom side. So we take our weakness and now we say, okay, here's this weakness, but it's really an opportunity. What do I have to do to take that opportunity? How does Richard have to get better? How does Richard have to get smarter? How does Richard have to change his vision, his philosophy, in order to build that opportunity out where now it's not an opportunity, it's in process?
So by providing a list of your strengths, a list of your weaknesses, a list of your opportunities, and then, of course, a list of your threats, you can take and improve your weaknesses by taking advantage of your opportunities. They can actually turn those threats around.
Exactly.
I like that.
When you look at the opportunity, your strengths are what's going to let you succeed in your opportunity.
Right.
So strength and opportunity are on the left side of the quadrants on that, where your weaknesses and your threats are on the right side of the quadrant. Threats, I really don't look at competition as a threat, because I can always learn anything from somebody. So if you think your competition's beating you out, analyze how are they beating you out. You know, sometimes you need to take your